you're like most guys, there are sex positions in which you can last a lot longer than in other ones, and there's a little magical problem with this. Maybe you already guessed what it is. Hey, it's Alex Allman from Revolutionary Sex. Today I am going to be answering an email. A friend of mine writes, there are sex positions in which I can last for just about as long as I want. In fact, in missionary, I generally have a hard time reaching orgasm. I can go 5, 10, 15 minutes, no problem. And many times, no matter how fast or hard I go, no matter how hard I try, it's difficult to get there in this position. Not a big deal, obviously, as I can satisfy her and we can always switch positions to take care of me. Here's the problem. I can't last more than 30 seconds in doggy style, if that. Truly, as soon as I'm in, I feel like erupting. Happens every time. How can I last so long in some positions and have such an impossible time in doggy? This is a big problem for us because it's her favorite position. Of course it is. It's her favorite position by far, and she really enjoys a hard and fast pace in doggy, but I just can't do it. 30 seconds, 1 minute tops, and I'm a goner. What is it about this position? Is this a common problem? Any advice? Please help. Well, it is kind of a common problem. I'm going to tell you why, and I'm going to offer you a couple of solutions. The first and best solution, honestly, is to go ahead and get your copy of my Command and Control program, which will teach you how to have non-ejaculatory male orgasms that you can last as long as you want. Another thing, honestly, best advice I could give you, get the Unleash the Beast program. Both of these programs are fantastic, and they both have the magic bullet method in them, which really will completely resolve this for you. It'll take you much deeper than I can go into in this video. But I will tell you this. All men have this experience, and all of their female partners probably experience it too, that there are some positions in which they're far more sensitive than in others. And here's the kicker. That's almost always the position that their wife, girlfriend, or lover finds most exciting. It's the position that they want you to be in is the one that you can't be in. So all men experience this. I've experienced this. Everybody experiences this. Here's why. It turns out that sexual arousal, your state of arousal, is highly contagious. So the more turned on you are, the more turned on she is, and vice versa. So two things are happening. First of all, because you like doggy position so much, because it's such a turn on for you, she feels your turn on like a punch in the gut. She feels it in her whole body. Your turn on is super arousing for her. So when you're really turned on for her and her body, she's more likely to have an orgasm. So she loves doggy position for the very fact that you're so aroused, but you're so aroused that you can't last long enough. So this is the catch-22, and it works in the other direction too. Because she likes doggy so much, because she's so turned on, you feel her arousal like a punch in the gut. And her turn on, she's so wildly turned on that it flips all your switches, all your circuits start to blow, and the next thing you know, you can't last long enough. So this is actually occurring in both directions. Now, any method that you use for lasting longer is good stuff, is good medicine, right? So, you've probably heard me talk about a lot of this stuff in other videos about breathing deeply into your belly, about not flexing your butt and leg muscles, and all these other things. But ultimately, all of these things will be helpful, but your arousal level is higher in this position. So the real key here, and this really hints into what the magic bullet method is all about, is that arousal is a mental emotional state, right? It's not a physical state, it's a mental emotional state. And believe it or not, you are in control of your mental emotional states. There are times when, for example, your lover says something so outrageous and so hurtful that you cannot control your anger. Or could you? Because really you could. You could control your anger, but a lot of the times we don't. This is a very, very similar thing. You have this feeling that you can't control your emotional arousal state, but you really can. And one of the ways that I'm going to give you, maybe a very powerful way for you in particular, is that as you're feeling her arousal and that's really turning you on, instead of getting caught up in her trance, you need to have more powerful emotional boundaries. Same thing, by the way, if you're in a fight with your lover and she or he, this is the same for women, if they're really angry, it's way harder for you to keep your cool because not only are they saying something that you feel is totally wrong and unjustified, but also their emotional energy really like provokes something in you, just like some angry guy at the bar, it provokes something in you. When somebody gets in your face and they're all angry, you're like, wow, you feel it back. But there are other possibilities. There's jujitsu that you can do on these emotions. Sometimes when somebody gets really angry, you can use that to get extra calm. Sometimes when somebody gets angry, for example, you're angry back, but sometimes you're fearful or you're sad. There's other possible responses. So when she's feeling that arousal, what I'm going to recommend to you is instead of letting yourself go along for that train ride and get dragged along into her arousal, what you want to do is enjoy her arousal in a different way. Enjoy it in a more dominant way. Get into her turn on and begin talking to her about it. Tell her how much you like it. Give her positive feedback so that instead of getting caught up in her arousal, you're appreciating it from a higher perspective. You're appreciating it from a perspective of somebody who's driving it. It sounds a little subtle. I wish I could map the whole thing out for you. And in fact, I do map the whole thing out for you in my Magic Bullet Method. It's in Unleash the Beast, which is a great program with sex positions on how to feel bigger. I also map it out for you in Command and Control. In fact, just to be a nice guy and make it easier for you, I'm going to put links to both of those programs right below this video. And what you should do right now is click those links because there's a ton of stuff there for you. But the bottom line is whether you buy these programs or you don't, and obviously you should, this is really, once you get clear that this is an issue of her arousal and your arousal playing together, it's going to give you power in two directions. First, it's really going to give you a lot more control. You'll understand what's going on, and from there, you actually can get your shit together, I promise. The second thing that's going to be very powerful for you is you can use this to your advantage too, because you can do exactly the same thing from any position to give her an orgasm. It works the same in both directions. When you're very aroused and you're generous with your arousal, you let her feel that, it's going to make her more aroused, it's going to work better on her. And by the way, you can do the same thing when you're in missionary position to make that position more exciting for her. She'll like it more, and then you won't always have to resort to doggy style. In other words, from a position that you normally don't have a problem in, you can last as long as you want, allow yourself to be more aroused, allow yourself to feel into that, and allow yourself to be more vocal and verbal about that and share that with her. And I think you'll get some great results right there. And honestly, while this is kind of a problem in a lot of ways because you get too excited and then you have to come, it's also a really beautiful thing that your arousal affects her and her arousal affects you. And it's one of the great pleasures of lovemaking once you get your shit under control. This is Alex Allman for Revolutionary Sex. I'll talk to you again very soon.